was places like in the middle of the pack, right? You kind of like it's like a Supreme Assault Force scenario, but slightly worse. So perhaps this week is going to be a better week for them. We just have to find out because we are in Kalahari for our first round of week 2, day 1.
And it does seem like the flight path is going to be starting off in the western side and ending it off at the east side, cutting through Foundation, or Refinery, Command Post, and perhaps even Mammoth? Because I don't know, because at this point of time, what we are looking at is Auto Knockout coming in close to Son of Gun, STP Son of the Gun, and it doesn't look good for Auto Knockout at all, because, well, Mirul is already knocked down, while the other 3 of the members coming from Auto Knockout finds themselves in a really bad case scenario, and of course Shura completely knocked out as well. The rest of the members coming from STP Sound of the Gun has come in to swoop the rest of Auto Knockout, with 2 of Auto Knockout's players down. I don't think that Auto Knockout is gonna have a good game for this one. They gotta have to play it defensively and play it a lot more passively.
That is unfortunate for Auto Knockout as well, because I'm not sure if they missed their drop point or they were not able to direct the parachuting trajectory properly, but we did see, I think, 2 of their members drop at the side of the cliff, so they were out in the open, and STP Son of Guns just happens to drop on that mountain behind them, so it gave them early access to those weaponries to get those early points. A pretty unfavorable opening for Auto Knockout, if I must say. But STP Son of Gun was also one of the teams who you can say has the same treatment as Supreme Assault Force or Bloody Hits, where you see them, but most of the time it's them kind of struggling, right? You don't really see STP Son of Gun putting out a performance that that kind of solidifies them in the Booyah category. But with this opening, perhaps they will be able to gain a bit of advantage that will allow them to reach that point.
Definitely. I mean, at this point of time, STP Son of Gun, they are not too high up in terms of the leaderboard. With this advantage that they have, and letting all the other people in this lobby knows that Auto Knockout is now handicapped, there is going to be some shift in tides. There are definitely going to be some changes. Because as long as teams, they keep their eye out as to which teams are available, which teams are handicapped, and of course which team that they are most afraid of, they're going to make changes accordingly. Like, for example, Auto Knockout is definitely going to be one of the top contenders in this series, and thus teams that are slightly more afraid of Auto Knockout, they wouldn't have to be that afraid anymore. Perhaps because you're afraid of Auto Knockout's aggression, or you're afraid of Auto Knockout's teamwork. At this point in time, with only 2 of the members from Auto Knockout, players and teams can now start to play him a lot more aggressively and throwing caution into the wind and be like, even if we meet against Auto Knockout, which is our sworn enemies, we can definitely win them because they are handicapped 4 versus 2. What can they do to us? So that is going to encourage quite some aggressive plays in near future, or rather even in this map itself.
Yeah, and I think it also opens up a bit more breathing space for a lot of these teams. When you look at a front runner having a bad start, that kind of gives you a bit of confidence to work with. We were, or at least looking at AV Ligers, they were able to just get out of the danger zone in time, but that puts them within close proximity of Bloody Hit. And so far, I think Bloody Hit hasn't really moved too much from their starting point. It is still the location where Auto Knockout got taken out, or at least 2 of their members got taken out early on. This is probably one of the slower Kalahari starts we've gotten, so we should be expecting a lot of aggression into when it comes to like the 3rd and 4th phases, which is a pretty rare sight considering Kalahari. Normally, you will start things off with a lot of teams just already running into each other, but this is not the case, at least for now.
Yeah, indeed. I'm not exactly sure what exactly is happening, as well as how the movements is really shown here. But there could definitely be more people running into each other while this zone number 1 is closing out, because we all know how slow the first zone ever closes, and during this time there is going to be teams still bumping from places to places and understanding, or rather finding more loots around the area. But now that we have the bird's eye view, we do have a small little understanding that we do have AV Ligas as well as Divinity that is pretty close within of Refinery. Or perhaps is Divinity even further away from Refinery? It's somewhere further,
It-
down
yeah.
down the ridge, it seems.
Yeah, and Divinity, we kind of established their how to say their trait, right, as one of the teams that master Kawahari or is really good and expert on this map, but they have not really delivered that result just yet, or at least they have not delivered the results that matches our expectations of a team who dominates, this map alone. But you can see how their movements right now. It could be because it's just the first round. It could be because of last week's result. But they're not taking those chances, and I think it also contributes to the fact that they probably know that they're not safe. And judging by how most of these teams have been playing Kalahari in week one, it is not entirely wise to just go out and seek those fights, especially when a team like AV Ligers is within proximity and they are leading the leaderboard right now. But Geek Fam, though, they are going to be facing off against an opposition team.
It does seem like Shoyu, he did manage to push himself out of the house and come close to the fences. It is going to be Secret Movement that's going to be fighting against Geek Fam, but I don't think that is going to be the case anymore because we do have another team that may be coming in for the third party, but we'll talk about that in a while later as we do have Vickery as well as Kryden that is unfortunately being knocked down from the side of Secret Movement. Vickery now completely taken down and out of this game. We may still look at Kryden being able to jump right in, but unfortunately, that is going to be him bleeding out. And thus, Secret Movement is now going to have two of their members, Yat and One, to run away from Santa Catarina as fast as possible, as they definitely do not want to be eliminated right here and right then.
I mean, when you face these kind of situations, the best thing you can do is just to minimize the casualty, and that's exactly what Secret Movement did. But now we're also looking at Views, who got that important knock onto ZMAX on top of this cliff, and that means that the entirety of Ocean's lineup perhaps has been exposed, but at least Amloy was able to get a kill in return, so you kind of balance out the entire playing field for both teams. But still, losing that high ground means that the entirety of Awesome, they might be exposed to a bird's eye view from Views, and Views would be able to use this advantage to kind of encircle Awesome and force a fight. And of course, with Amberlaw, the guy that both our hostess has been putting most of the weight, holding that vantage point. Awesome, they are in a pretty bad position.
Awesome really had to get themselves into the new circle as soon as possible. They lost the high ground, like you said before. Views is now behind them, but it also means that they can't run too far, because once they start running, they're definitely going to have their backs completely exposed to Views. And I think that is exactly what happened. Views from behind, managing to get a nice little snipe right onto Jack, and that is going to bring Jack down. He's not going to be going anywhere. He's definitely going to be bleeding out right there. But unfortunately, Watch and Learn comes right in, swoop in a single kill off of Awesome's feet. And now Awesome is going to be left with a single member, and that is going to be Coco. He needs to run himself as far away as possible, as fast as possible. But unfortunately, Venom joins right into the fray and managed to wipe the rest, or if not all, of Awesome's members out. And thus, we have the first team that has been eliminated. Awesome at number 12.
That is just unlucky. It all started because they lost the high ground. So you have to give credits to Views for making that happen, and of course Watch and Learn coming in to pick up the scrap. But now, after eliminating Awesome, they are faced with a second adversary, the team that is leading the entire chart, AV Ligers, on the opposite side. And Demon just got picked up. He's kind of resurrected, healing back up. Watch and Learn, they intend to hold this compound, but the problem is that they have more open space to cover, whereas for AV Ligers, because of how they're positioned, they can easily maneuver around all these empty compounds, and they can choose to avoid unnecessary fights while also making sure that they're in a safe vicinity. Judging by their movements, they are not prioritizing in crossing through Bayfront and going deeper into the circle, but they are moving side by side. A couple of teams, including Divinity and Ability Hit. So AV Ligers, they are kind of caught right in the center. We'll see what they have in mind for the next few minutes.
It does seem like the choke zone may very well be the center bridge, as you can pretty much see. We do have about 3 teams that is going to be on the western side of the island, and there is a good amount of teams on the eastern side of the island as well. Relatively hard for me to pinpoint as to where is going to be the highest traffic of order, but the truth is that the teams are definitely going to meet up with one another real soon, once the circle starts to get closer and smaller. With now 40 seconds left on the clock, we are going to be looking at most of these teams. They're hiding inside of buildings. Once the circle gets close, and once it flushes everyone else out, that is where everyone is just going to meet up at ground level, start to shoot at one another, and that is where chaos ensues. Is not at all an organized chaos, but you wouldn't even be able to find out or know statistically who's going to win, because once you're aiming, once one team is aiming another, you may get third partied, and that is one of the worst situations to be in, especially in a battle royale. You would want to keep fights and all scenarios under control as much as possible. The more that they keep playing into the hands of the circle, the rougher it would be.
And you have to also give props to Secret Movement. They've been able to dodge most of these conflicts, but perhaps not for long, because Geek Fam is right behind them. Hazik just running in with the pan. He does see one, and he's just gonna try and gun him down immediately. Yat shows up, but there is the glue wall for Hazik, and that will allow the rest of Geek Fam to come in. Secret Movement's days are numbered. A 2 versus 4 is not gonna work out for them. Yat goes down, and one will be the only one left alive, and that is gonna be it. Secret Movement, the second team to be knocked out, and Geek Fam, with their patience so far in Kalahari, has given them the advantage. But meanwhile, Divinity Batman with the grenade to take out 2, and that is going to be a lead that they definitely want. STP Son of Guns, they made it into the circle, but also straight into the jaws of Divinity. A third member goes down from STP Son of Gun as auto knockout actually gets eliminated by the blue zone. STP Son of Gun, only with Miros left alive, he's not gonna have a good time as the rest of Divinity. They're just gonna swarm the building and take out that survivor.
Good gatekeeping coming from the side of Divinity, and now they have to look for the contingency plan as to how they're going to get inside of the new circle, which is slightly towards the southern side of the current play zone. But in the meantime, we do have Divinity just rushing right into the building where Miros was hiding and holed up in. Divinity did manage to get themselves with 3 kills to their name, and they have to run in real soon. In the meantime, we're also looking at Bloody Hands drawing themselves the first blood right on the side of AV Ligers. Shogun goes down as well to the hands of Divinity. Things are starting to get pretty nasty, if you ask me. Mark, Pogs, Blank, as well as ZJ, they have to get themselves out as soon as possible. But fortunately, Mark as well as Blank is now going to be bleeding out under the blue zone, and they are going to go straight down. Watch and learn. Demon and Venom, they're coming in from the other side of the wall, waiting for AV Ligers to pop right out. Demon gets knocked down by Ray Panda, but he just gets himself running away as soon as possible. And this is the unorganized chaos that I'm just talking about. Everyone is playing right in the palms of the blue zone. There's nothing that they can do, to the point that now Divinity, playing that gatekeeping strategy, worked out so well for them, and they became the crowned victors of the southern area. And now they can have a short breath of fresh air. They can just chill and wait for the right time before they come converge with the opponents from the other side of the island. Meanwhile, Geek Fam finds themselves right in the crosshairs of Supreme Assault Forces. I don't think that they're gonna go down anytime soon, but the only problem is that Geek Fam have got 1 man down already. A Beast, Exact, as well as Show You. The 3 of them have to play some miracle around this, because there are still quite a number of teams with a full squad.
Yeah, Geek Fam, they have to try and make their way in. Wheels is still kind of in the vicinity, but they don't have the man advantage though, as Mon going to be immediately challenged by Geek Fan, but Zach actually loses that.
Oh!
That's coming from Upis, so Upis helping out. Steady Squad meanwhile goes down as Emberlord will be the final member on his team that is kind of challenged by Geek Fan, but Divinity and Supreme Assault Forces on the other side, they're also kind of converging in, and Divinity has been reading the map so well as show you as one team takes out Ren with that grenade, and that's gonna even the playing field for now. Divinity now held on the low ground, and it seems like one team just wants to rush in and finish things up, but they have to be careful. The glue wall actually forces the grenade to bounce us off, and that's gonna miss Ismail, but one team is just gonna peek around the corner, takes out Voice Face. Divinity caught in a choke point. They have to take this fight. Batman gets one, but one team will still be able to kill out Voice Face, to secure the kill, as Batman will get his revenge. But show you with the grenade from afar takes out the rest of SAF. Geek Fam with 13 kills. We're down to a 1 versus 2 situation. Show you with full health and full arsenal behind his wall. He has to take this. Shira goes in. Shira loses out. And now there's a chance for Geek Fam. Red! Geek Fam! They get the first booyah!
What the hell? Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly the kind of game that we are